The Kudzu leaf fox. A long time ago in the ancient province of Setsu, there lived a samurai by the name of Abe no Yasuna in the village of Abeno. One year during the autumn, Yasuna, accompanied by 5 or 6 retainers, went off to visit the shrine of a local deity in the Shinoda forest. The forest was filled with colour. Bush clover and Chinese bellflowers were everywhere, and the flowers of fall were out in profusion. The men looked at this scene in amazement. "What a beautiful view," Yasuna exclaimed. "Should we stop here and drink some sake?" Yasuna ordered his men to stop, and they quickly prepared for some merrymaking. Soon they were gazing at the bright red autumn leaves and draining their cups of sake. Suddenly there was a clamour, and a white fox leapt in among them and hid under the sleeve of Yasuna's robe. Without a sound it rubbed its head against Yasuna, seemingly in supplication. "All right," Yasuna assured the frightened animal. "Don't worry." He then took the container box that had been placed behind him and hid the fox inside. Soon after, some men carrying bows and arrows approached Yasuna and his men as they sat drinking. "Did a white fox go running through here just now?" they asked. "No," Yasuna replied firmly. "We haven't seen anything like a white fox here." "That can't be," said the man who appeared to be the group's leader. "It should have come through here for sure. Everyone, spread out and flush it out." The men noisily trampled over the carpet that Yasuna's retainers had set down and began to search the area. Yasuna sprang to his feet. "This is outrageous," he shouted. "How dare you disturb our drinking party? Men, send them packing." "What?" the intruder's leader cried. "You're nothing but a hayseed samurai." "You'll see about that," yelled Yasuna. "Cut them down." Yasuna's retainers unsheathed their swords, not one of them showing any signs of weakness. The so-called leader fled on the spot, while his followers nearly fell over each other trying to keep up with him. Yasuna then let the white fox out of the box. "It's all right now," he said gently. "Go quickly." The white fox quickly fled deep into the Shinoda forest, but not before turning to look back several times with an extremely happy look. But just as Yasuna and his retainers were finishing up their drinking party and getting ready to return, the men who had previously intruded on them returned, this time accompanied by about 100 samurai. "My name is Ishikawa Tsunehei," said the leader. "You dared to shame me a while ago. Now, my fellows, seize them." No matter how strong Yasuna's retainers were, there was only so much that the 5 or 6 of them could do. Soon they and Yasuna were all bound and made to kneel before Tsunehei. "Cut off their heads," Tsunehei commanded. His samurai had just raised their swords in the air when a voice declared, "Goodness, just a moment, please." Looking behind them, they saw a Buddhist priest with pure white eyebrows and a pure white beard. He walked in through the crowd and came to a stop in front of Yasuna. "I am the abbot of the Fuji temple," he said in a strong but quiet voice. "Ah, the abbot," murmured Tsunehei's men. Completely flustered, Tsunehei knelt down before the old priest. The Fuji temple was where his ancestors' graves were located, and it was the old priest who would read the sutras on appropriate days before their mortuary tablets. There was no way that Tsunehei could stand up to him. "Master Tsunehei," the priest said, "what sort of thing is it to cut down men out viewing the autumn leaves? As a Buddhist priest, I can't permit this." "Yes, sir, of course," came the reply. Tsunehei signaled his men with a look to leave right away. Then he himself hurried off. "Thank you for saving us from this dangerous situation," Yasuna said, and bowed deeply. But when he looked up, the priest was nowhere to be found, Only a white fox was seen running into the undergrowth. "Well," he said to his retainers, "that white fox transformed itself into the priest and saved our lives." He and his retainers then straightened their robes and gave thanks to the fox. The day was now dark, and their small group made its way hurriedly down the rough mountain path. They could not dilly-dally along the way, as there was a chance that Ishikawa Tsunohei and his men might chase after them. They had all been wounded in the fracas earlier on, however, they were terribly thirsty. "There must be water somewhere around here," Yasuna mumbled to himself. Somehow Yasuna got separated from his retainers as he searched for a stream or pond to slake his thirst, and suddenly found himself completely alone. After walking along the mountain path for a while, however, he spied a small stream running through the ravine below. "Ah, water," he sighed. "Thank goodness." Yasuna climbed down into the ravine, guided by the sound of water. When he reached the stream, however, he was surprised to find a young lady by the bank washing her clothes. The young lady saw that Yasuna was badly wounded and quickly ran up to him. "Lord Samurai," she said in alarm, "you have some terrible wounds and should have them treated right away. If you don't mind its shabbiness, please come to my house and let me attend to them." After drinking some water from the mountain stream, Yasuna allowed himself to be guided to the woman's house. His wounds were deeper than he had thought, however, and with every movement they began to bleed again. The kind young woman was up all night treating Yasuna's wounds, but thanks to her, after 2 or 3 days, he was finally able to get up and walk around a little. "I've been saved, thanks to you," Yasuna said quietly, pressing his palms to the ground and bowing deeply. "There is absolutely nothing I can say that will express my gratitude, but will you at least tell me your name?" "Yes," she replied shyly. "I am called Kudzu Leaf." "Kudzu Leaf? What a fine name," Yasuna said, almost to himself. So saying, Yasuna got ready to return home, but somehow he found it too painful to leave this kind young lady. "I have a request," he suddenly stammered. "Would you care to become my wife? I've grown tired of this life of sword fights and battles, and would like to live in this house in peace." "Lord Samurai," the young woman blurted out, and her eyes filled with tears of joy. In this way the two of them became man and wife. Kudzu Leaf was truly a tender-hearted young woman, and Yasuna spent every day happily, soon forgetting the time he had spent as a samurai. In no time at all 3 years passed, and Kudzu Leaf gave birth to a dear baby boy. Yasuna named the child Abe no Doji, or the child of Abe Forest, and before they knew it the child had reached his 7th year. One day, however, the child came in from playing outdoors and found his mother asleep, her head resting on the loom where she had been weaving. But what was this? Wasn't that a white tail sticking out from the hem of her robe? "Mummy, you're growing a tail," the little boy called out. At the sound of her child's voice, Kudzu Leaf suddenly woke up and, horribly flustered, tried to hide her tail, but it was too late. "Mummy has a tail! Mummy has a tail!" the little boy shouted as he ran out to the field where Yasuna was working. "Ah, it's all over," Kudzu Leaf thought to herself. Now she could do nothing but cry. But at length she stood up and took out her writing box. With the brush dipped in ink, she wrote a quick poem on the nearby sliding paper door. "If you long for me, please come and ask, deep in the Shinoda forest of bitter kudzu leaves at Izumi Spring." The poem meant that Kudzu Leaf was the white fox of Shinoda Forest, and if Yasuna and their son wanted to see her, they would have to come to that place. As soon as she had finished writing the poem, Kudzu Leaf was transformed into a beautiful white fox and leapt outside. By the time Yasuna and the little boy reached home, she was nowhere to be seen. "So you were that white fox of so many years ago," muttered Yasuna to himself. and finding the poem on the sliding paper door, he let out a deep sigh. "Where's Mummy?" the little boy, who had just been making such a fuss about the tale, now began searching the house for his mother. "Please listen," Yasuna said tenderly. "Your mother has gone to a faraway place. From now on, it will just be the two of us living here." "No," the little boy cried. "I want Mummy. I want Mummy." "All right then," Yasuna agreed. "Let's go and find her." Carrying the little boy on his back, Yasuna walked to the Shinoda forest. As the two shouted out Kudzu Leaf's name, a white fox suddenly appeared. Moving close to them, it presented Yasuna with a charm and a hand box that contained a quartz jewel. "I am the white fox you saved long ago," it said. "Once having returned to this form, I can no longer take human shape again. If you carry this charm, no matter what kind of problems you encounter in this world, you will understand them quickly. And if you place this quartz jewel to your ear, you will understand the words of birds and beasts. When this child grows up, please pass these things on to him. Please take care of him well." And with that, the white fox trotted into the Shinoda forest, looking back time and time again until it disappeared from sight. Thanks to the charm and quartz jewel bequeathed to him by his mother, the young boy eventually grew up to become the famous scholar of divination, Abe Haruo Kira, who often gave advice to the emperor.